Hey everyone, it is Stove here, and obviously I am very late to this Week 16 preview. I was just finishing the college playoffs review and preview of the first and second rounds going into later next week. But again, I'm here trying to do this stuff. I had a lot of computer stuff I had to work with. I missed at least 3 games. I missed the Thursday night game, which the Seattle Seahawks won in weird but awesome and crazy fashion against the Los Angeles Rams, being 12-4, I believe now, or 12. Yeah, 12-4. 12-4. No, not 12-4. 12-3, I believe. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they have a better record than the Rams now, so they are now leading in their division. So, and then you had last night's football games with the Eagles facing the Commanders. A little brawl happening in the midst there, but the Eagles being able to shape out a solid win against the Commanders, and I believe it was the Packers versus the Bears. A huge comeback, a huge fight back for the Bears, literally going from the third quarter, I believe, and pacing themselves, getting point by point by point, going into overtime 16-16, and proceeding to score in the middle of overtime, able to score the final touchdown, winning 22-16 against the Green Bay Packers, leading them, the Chicago Bears, to having the division title right now. Now, obviously, this could probably end up being a thing where the Chicago Bears probably win out, more than likely, and they win the division. They go from going last in the division last year to now going first in the division and possibly even fighting for a number 2, maybe even number 1 seed for the NFC conference bracket. But again, let's get right into it. I have the rest of the games here in my little notebook here, and we can go through all this stuff right here. Cincinnati Bengals versus Miami Dolphins. Both teams are knocked out into the playoffs, so here's the thing. I believe last time I checked, it was like a 4.5 favorite going to Cincinnati Bengals, so there must have been some certain things not go wrong, but something may have happened through the last couple of days that I've been looking at that. I might have switched it down to Miami giving a little bit more of a chance to win this game. I do believe Cincinnati Bengals, even though they're out of the playoffs, I do have to say Cincinnati with a full team, with them pretty much just going out there and having fun at this point in Miami in warmer weather. Miami will more than likely lose with Quinn Ewers at quarterback. Not saying he's a bad quarterback, because he's pretty solid. He was solid in Texas, and hell, he was pretty damn solid when he had Bijan Robinson. I believe both those two were pretty solid together, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe Quinn Ewers may have been a freshman or sophomore at that point in time when Bijan Robinson, after he left. But with Quinn Ewers having a running back like Devon Achane and having a very speedy group, he can really just obviously follow the running back and where the running back wants to go, and Quinn Ewers can make passes, more accurate passes, you would say, than Tua Tagovailoa. I believe Tua Tagovailoa was still a decent quarterback, but his thing was all about power, and he showed a little too much of that trying to throw to his wide receivers, causing interceptions, causing mishaps, getting pressured the way he did and putting himself in a very, very bad situation, whether it had to do with the injuries in his career that he's already had, several of them, and at the same time also not progressing as an NFL quarterback, but somewhat already regressing as an NFL quarterback, with him really only being in the league for, I think, 4 years, which, to be fair, feels very fast already, because I still remember Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Hurts in Alabama winning national championships together. So, pretty interesting though. But that being said, with, I believe, T. Higgins should be playing today with Cincinnati. Getting off of the concussion protocol, you will not only have Jamar Chase, you will also have T. Higgins. Hopefully, we will also have a few other people coming back healthy. Our defense is still trying to work on certain things, but with Quinn Ewers, a different type of quarterback going in, it's going to be a little tough, but if we could rattle him at first, Cincinnati is going to pretty much have a very good game defensively, and possibly even a very good game offensively with Joe Burrow at the helm still. You go then into the Bills versus Browns. Obviously, this is Cleveland. It's a little bit of a colder, chillier game, 27 degrees. Probably feels like 20 or in the teens of degrees. But anything could truly happen with this type of defense, that if the Cleveland Browns were able to do certain things against the Eagles, they could be able to find a way to be able to make the Bills struggle as well. That being said, though, the Bills do need to continue to win and hope that New England Patriots actually drop down a couple of losses these last few games, just so that New England then drops down from the bracket, not necessarily because they'd be like a 5th seed, and the Bills would be able to jump up to 3rd or 2nd seed and get home field advantage against somebody like the Ravens or whoever may try to come, maybe the Chargers or something like that. Whoever's by the end of the season that 7th or 6th seed. But the Bills, I do believe, will end up winning this game, even with the Cleveland Browns defense the way they've been. Myles Garrett, if he hasn't already, I'm pretty sure he's either on the mist of breaking the record or has already broken the record of most sacks in an NFL season. Props to him, but I do believe Buffalo is going to come into Cleveland and kick the living crap out of both sides of the ball for the Cleveland Browns. So, Bills win that game. Chargers will also win against the Cowboys. Cowboys are also officially eliminated. Even if the Eagles, I believe, lose their last 2 or 3 games, Cowboys win out, it's still not going to be enough for the Cowboys to slip into the playoffs. Just projectively is not going to happen. Chargers do still want these wins, whether it's to hope that the Broncos lose their last couple of games and the Chargers are able to sneak in and win their last 3 games. They should be able to do this, but the Cowboys being fairly tough at home does show some promise that the Cowboys, regardless if they're playing for a playoff spot or not, could still show like, hey, we're here to have fun, but we're also here to ruin the Chargers' chances at winning a division title. So let's go do that in Arlington, Texas, the AT&T Stadium. But again, like I said, with the Chargers finally coming back up and like their offense and defense is slowly starting to come together completely, I do think it will be a back and forth thing, and the Cowboys will score more than 24 points for sure, but the Chargers will still end up winning by possession, maybe 2, if both teams offensively are just going off. And I do expect that to happen. Chiefs versus Tennessee Texans. This could end up being a very solid thing for Cam Ward to finally be able to win against the Chiefs, just because Patrick Mahomes will not be the one playing these last 3 games. Unfortunately, the Chiefs could still win out. It is a possibility because even with Patrick Mahomes out, they do have a solid backup there. And I usually, for the most part, in my opinion, I'll usually trust a backup whenever you are on a team like the Kansas City Chiefs. You learn a lot, you are in a lot of different positions, and you're thinking, okay, well, Patrick Mahomes led us to certain games, and I was able to learn from these specific games to be able to handle teams like the Tennessee Titans. However, though, I do think the Chiefs are going to win this game just because of defense, not because of whoever the quarterback is going to be. But the fact that if Cam Ward and Tony Pollard can come out, play both of them consistently, you get Tony Pollard with another 100 yards rushing and a touchdown. Cam Ward hopefully throws and actually puts the Kansas City Chiefs defense on some skates, being able to scramble a little bit, feel a little bit more comfortable, be able to throw the ball a little bit more and a little bit more patiently, hopefully. But again, we will have to just see. But I do think this could end up being somewhat of a closer game, but with really nothing to go off of. Tennessee may go winless at home, but it's a possibility that Tennessee actually upsets the Chiefs here. Jets versus Saints. I do think the Saints are going to win against the Jets. The Jets I've seen some improvement. I'm sure if they do have a solid run game with Breece Hall, I'm sure he will have a solid game and definitely break over 1,000 rushing yards, with hopefully even having a touchdown. But the only way the Jets are able to win is if whoever is at quarterback also does his job. Breece Hall would need to go off with 150 rushing yards or 200 scrimmage yards to get like 2 or 3 scrimmage touchdowns, if that's how you're saying, if that's how you say it. But realistically, the Saints being at home, winning half their games at home, but also losing half their games at home, I do still think, and even a lot of experts think, the Saints, the way that they've been able to gather themselves and be able to win certain games, they don't necessarily care too much about their draft overall pick. If they're in the top 5, if they're in the top 10, that's great, because at least they also know that they're trying to improve their record. Even if they go 7-10, it would still for them feel like, okay, this is like something that we can work on this offseason, get some other great players, some young players, and be able to move forward, possibly even have a similar, maybe even a better season and continue to get better. That's why I feel like the Saints have that determination, that mindset right now, where the Jets, I really don't think they do. And tickets being as low as $11 is nuts in New Orleans. Going into this next game, you had the Vikings versus the Giants. Jackson Dart could definitely end up winning this game. Granted, he's had some injuries, whether it be concussion, whether it be leg, shoulder, whatever. He's not necessarily had too much time on the field, but only throwing 4 interceptions in his rookie season, having pretty solid season for what he's had to deal with. I think the Giants could end up winning this game, but I will be going with the favorites, the 2.5 favorites in Minnesota Vikings, because J.J. McCarthy has been able to do a lot more, and that run game has also been able to do a lot more with him. However, I wouldn't be surprised the Giants surprise us with some very good passing game, with Robinson being able to do his thing, and a few other things being able to happen. And as you can see, a lot of games are actually starting to play while I'm starting to do this video. Again, as you can see, this is exactly what's happening with all of the 1 p.m. games starting. This is what's going to be going on. Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Panthers. They go up against each other 2 times in the last 3 weeks. So I do think Tampa Bay actually steals this one in Carolina, though they could surprise us. With Carolina being at home, it could definitely be something. There could definitely be something there with Carolina being able to go off defensively and keep Baker Mayfield or Tom Brady Jr. to basically chill him out, keep him pressured, have him throw a couple interceptions, and move on, and just hope that the Panthers don't lose the very next game, because then after that, week 8, they're then facing Tampa Bay again. And if Tampa Bay wins their next week's game, then it's even closer, and now they're both 8-8. The possibility of one of them going 9-8 into the playoffs as a 4 seed, it's definitely a very close call in the NFC South, I believe. Anyway, now you have later in the afternoon towards evening time, you got the Jaguars versus Broncos, with the Broncos being able to do what they did last week. I do have a strong belief that they can do the exact same thing against the Jaguars. And honestly, I don't know why you guys decide to not put respect on Bo Nix's name with literally leaving him out of the top 10 all-pro voting standings for the Pro Bowl stuff. I don't understand that. I'm pretty sure you guys probably gave him votes before he even started, or maybe the votes probably didn't even start until after he actually started a few games. But with that being said, I think it is kind of ridiculous, and I think Bo Nix is actually going to show us a lot more, continuing the undefeated record that they have at home. Now, granted, the Chargers, the way that they've been playing last week, they played unbelievable, playing a lot of stuff, being able to basically play against not against, but play within Travis Etienne Jr., who's had a very slow start this past season, but able to pick it up enough to possibly even be able to break over 1,000 rushing yards, and maybe even break over 400 receiving yards. So that being said, there could possibly be something going on there for sure, but I think the Broncos defense is wanting to stay number 1 in the AFC conference, and being able to beat a rising team such as the Jacksonville Jaguars will be a testament, will be a show of strength for the Denver Broncos. And it'd basically be the same thing if the Jaguars were able to beat the Denver Broncos. It'd make them feel like, okay, who is really the best team if we see Jaguars beating the Broncos, or we see the Vikings beating somebody else, or we see the Eagles beating somebody else, we see the Chiefs beating this team. A lot of things basically happening throughout the entire season. Then you got the Falcons versus the Cardinals. I do think the Falcons are going to... Well, actually, no. There's a possibility that the Falcons, with them being favored at 3 points, has that possibility to win. With Robinson, with the way that Kirk Cousins was able to pass pretty much all of his touchdowns, I believe, to Kyle Pitts last week, being able to win that game against Tampa Bay. But I do think Arizona Cardinals do take this win against the Atlanta Falcons, because what the hell do they have to play for? either of them can't really do anything besides playing for draft stock. Unless the Arizona Cardinals want to lose, then that's really on them, but I do believe Arizona Cardinals take this win against the Atlanta Falcons at home. Steelers versus Lions, that's a very solid matchup. Lions, though, a lot of Lions players leading in passing, rushing, and receiving or catches. So, that being said, obviously, I will be picking the Lions. And the Lions, even though they're not they're not going for playoffs, I don't think. They're 8-6. Maybe there's still a possibility if Green Bay loses the rest of their games and the Lions win the rest of their games. Because if they do, Lions go 11-6. If the Packers somehow lose all the rest of their games, they are, I think, 9-5-1 after losing against the Bears, who are 11-4. So the Packers being 9-5-1, if they lose just one more of their games, then they go 9-6-1. If they win, it's 10-6-1. Lions win out. They will end up being 11-6 and basically barely making it into the playoffs, more than likely with a half a game. Packers, though, if they lose all of their games, then the Lions make the playoffs with a game and a half ahead. So it really just depends on what goes on and what happens with this Lions team. I do believe the Lions end up beating the Steelers, but maybe Mike Tomlin ends up having something to surprise the Lions in Detroit, Michigan. But I do still go the Lions winning this one. Houston Texans versus the Raiders. There's really nothing to go off of here. Like, Nico Collins, the last few weeks or last month, he's been able to bring a lot of pizzazz, a lot of receiving yards after catch. Has been a phenomenal offensive piece, especially at home. They've been dominating defensively, and offensively they've been getting enough yards to be able to either score touchdowns or get field goals for their kicker. So whether that be Fairborn or somebody else. But Houston does not have a problem right now. They are the problem against the Raiders, and Houston's going to play lights out football. Now, going into Sunday night's game, which it doesn't look like we're going to have a Monday night game, unfortunately. So Sunday night, we will have the Patriots versus the Ravens. I do believe since the Steelers are going to lose, the Ravens will also lose against Drake May and the New England Patriots. Obviously, with it being in Baltimore, winning by 3 points is possible, especially if the Baltimore Ravens play like how they did last year or the last few games. Even last week, if they play just like last week, it could definitely be something to witness, the Baltimore Ravens upsetting the New England Patriots. And still pretty good though. But at the same time, New England Patriots are one of the very few teams, or the only team, that is undefeated as an away team. So they are pretty used to winning and disrupting their opposing teams when playing at their fields. So Baltimore Ravens, you guys better strap up, because again, this is your playoffs. If you guys lose this game, you will have to hope that the Steelers continue to lose, just so you guys have to then win a game, being 8-8. Steelers being 8-8 by the time you guys face each other again in Week 18. At least I'm pretty sure. Unless you guys face each other. Unless you guys face each other next week and then no, I don't believe so. I do not believe so. I'm pretty sure it's just the last week of the season they'll be facing each other. So Steelers, Ravens facing each other. Cool. Awesome. Ravens, though, they will lose against New England. Steelers will lose against the Lions at Detroit. And then you will have the Ravens being 7-8, Steelers being 8-7, and it could come down to the last two games to see whether the Baltimore Ravens make it into the playoffs by winning the division, or the Steelers clinch the division with just one more win. Whether they lose against the Baltimore Ravens in Week 18, but still are able to get one last win this week against the Lions, or next weekend against whoever they're facing. So, with all that being said, this is pretty much it. Again, sorry for the whole late deal. Again, computer being all kinds of messed up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and yeah, like, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what you think of my narratives, my things, my thoughts on my mind about these matchups, and what possibly can happen and should happen going forward into the football season, further and further into the football season. And yeah, you guys have a good day, and peace.